I want to show you how you can use the Connect Data Services API to get this data view data. Now, to do some quick custom coding, we're going to use the PowerShell ISE, which is preloaded onto all Windows machines. So if you're running Windows, you should have it. And our first step is create a variable, which I'll call URI, which is going to hold the query URI for accessing this data view data and all these columns that I've created. And we can find this by going to the API console, which I've already opened here. And in the API console, of course, we can test our data view and see its data. But I can also go to details and actually get the URI path for getting this specific result set for my data view. So I'll paste this in right here into PowerShell. You'll notice at the very beginning, it's going to give me the method. So I know I need to use a get. I'll replace the get, of course, to finish my URL with HTTPS. So now I've got my URI. But next I know I'm going to do some authentication, and I'm going to send a request to the authority URI. And where do I get this? Well, back again in the Connect Data Services portal under code samples, I can go to my authority URI right here. I can copy this and paste this back into my PowerShell script. This is where I can get my authorization token later. So I add HTTPS up front, perfect. Now I'm gonna be passing in some credentials, my ID and secret. So I'll create a placeholder for my credential object, and I know specifically I need my CI, my client ID, and my client secret. Now, where am I going to get these? So my approach just in this example, so that you don't see me type them in on screen, is to use PowerShell's get credential. So that's going to let me manually input them in, but as a password so you won't see them. And I'll extract out from that credential object my username and my password. So I'll do creds.getNetworkCredential.password, and this will let me securely get my username and password without me having to hard code them into the script so you can see them. Now, after this, I'll get these actually again from the portal, now under security and clients. And here I've created a read-only client set of client credentials. I'll copy this client ID, and I've got my client secret already saved in a credential manager, and I'll enter these in. So to show you what that looks like, I'll run this script section, and as my username, I'll pass in that client ID, which I just had earlier. I'll paste this right in here. This is exactly what I copied from that portal, and I'll also paste in my client secret, which again was generated earlier when I created that secret. And done. So I have those saved. Now, how do I actually verify this? Well, you can see if I look at CI, perfect. It actually shows my client ID is saved, and I can trust that my secret is as well. Now, in order to get that token, I'll create my token variable, and I'll do an invoke web request to actually issue a request. Now, specifically, I'm not going to be doing a get here. I'm going to be doing a post. I'm going to be posting data to this, posting my credentials, and getting the temporary token back. I'll have this be verbose, so you can actually see the query, and to the URI, it'll actually be that authority URI. And since this is a post, I'm actually going to be passing along a message body. So as the parameters in that body, I'll create a variable here. There's going to be three things. First, I'm going to be telling Connect Data Services that my grant type is client credentials. You'll do this exact same thing yourself. Next, I'll say that my client ID is my client ID variable, which I just populated earlier. And same thing, my client secret is the value of my client secret variable, or my CS variable. And I'll delete my extra lines. And when I run this piece, I will actually get a temporary auth token from Connect Data Services. And the token will be a little over 800 characters long. So here's a great point to test to make sure that we haven't had any errors. So I can actually select this whole little code segment right here, run it, and then when I'm done, take a look at that token. Now, before I do this, I'm actually going to put this in parentheses because this is just going to give me a web response. So I'm going to need to get its content of the response and convert it from the raw content, because it's text, convert it actually to a JSON object. And now that it's a JSON object, I can extract the property called access token. So I'm issuing the request, I'm getting the content, I'm converting it from just raw content into JSON, and I'm querying the JSON to get the access token. And when I run it, sure enough, no errors. And I have my token variable. I'm not going to show it on screen. I'm not actually going to show the auth token. But if I look at its length, again, it started null. Now it's got 887 characters. So I've got a valid token. Perfect. Now, what do I do with it? Well, now let me query Connect Data Services. So I'll create a variable called data. I'll issue my second and final invoke web request. This is going to be a get. So my method's going to be get because I'm going to be getting data from the cloud. Now, the URI here, after I do verbose, the URI is actually going to be the URI from above because that's the URI for my data view. And now I actually have to specify authentication. So I'll add headers, and in my headers, I'll set that my authorization header value equals a value of bearer space plus and the value of my token. So this is going to allow me to actually authenticate with Connect Data Services and get the value of that data. So when I run this request, it'll send the request to here, it'll pass in that token that I just created. But again, just like before, this is just going to give me a response object back. I need to get the content, I need to get the data. So I'll put this in parentheses and say I want to extract the .content, and perfect. I can go ahead and run these lines right here, hit run selection. It's going to see issue the first request. It's going to issue the second now. You saw that quick little process, that progress bar go right here. And now sure enough, I have data. So if down below, I just, type in $data, I get this is all values obtained from the cloud from Connect Data Services. These were values that were in a Pi system, AVEVA Historian, MES, and are now synced up to the cloud. And if I want to save these on premises, all I need to do is type out file and then input object. My data is going to be the input, and the file path is just going to be whatever file name I want to save this locally. You can see in way less than 18 lines, we've gone ahead and issued a secure API request to Connect Data Services and have downloaded that data to a file. And I can actually inspect the file, just for completion's sake. I can type in the path to it. You can see it's going to open in a code editor they have in another tab. Let me drag that one over here. You can actually see that data file. Perfect. So you can see we've only been going for less than 10 minutes and we already have data downloaded from Connect Data Services, just a handful of straightforward lines to connect, get that token with my client ID and my client secret from earlier, and get data. Now, you would likely use a secure password manager or otherwise encode it, but use the same token code and the same code to get the data view. This is how easy it is to get that data from the cloud. Again, we use those client credentials, we use the authority URI from here, and we use the API console to help us generate that URI to get our data view, which of course we originally defined right here in the data view editor. And this is how easy it is to get that live data from the cloud, from Connect Data Services into PowerShell. And this can be easily extended to the programming language or the platform of your choice. Thank you.